Hey guys, it's me, Megan. So today, as you can tell, I look a little different. Starting on my new gig tomorrow and I couldn't sleep, so that's why I'm not wearing any makeup. Yes, we'll get it right out there right now. Yes, I am wearing cat ears. I just washed all my makeup off and I'm wearing a Godzilla t-shirt, so I look a little different than usual. I can't sleep. So this is kind of an off-the-cuff one. I kind of thought maybe I'd do something a little different. I thought I would tell you, it could be kind of like a story time thing. Excuse me. Everybody in my house is sick and I think I'm getting it too. I thought I would tell you guys the story of my first and hopefully last med error. I hope you guys never make a med error. And if you have, you know, we all do it. I mean, it happens. So my med error, that it's the only one that I know about that I've ever made so far, knock on wood. I was, at the time I was an LPN, because if you know a little bit about me, I started out as a PCT, then worked my way up to an LPN, and then worked my way up to a BSN. I was working as an LPN, and I was working in a nursing home, and there actually was an orthopedic rehab unit, and my patient was he was a refugee. He was here seeking asylum. He was a freedom fighter who had suffered a blast injury after stepping on a landmine, and this was many, many years ago, so this is not, I mean, I don't think I'm violating HIPAA because I don't think there's any way to track this gentleman down. And he'd lost part of his leg. And of course, phantom leg pain, any kind of neurological pain is very, very difficult to treat. Anyway, I accidentally double dosed his Ultram. And I didn't realize it until morning drug counts, when I was doing the morning drug counts, because I was the only nurse, me, and my ratio was 28 patients, me and 28 patients. There was one RN in the entire building, and I think there was 4 floors. Anyway, so I will never forget the feeling as my stomach just fell to the ground. I just felt like I was swallowing a lump. Undescribable feeling of terror as I went to the patient's room to check on this patient. I was a new LPN as well. I mean, I'd only been an LPN for a few months, and I went and checked on this patient here. I'm terrified, thinking, you know, oh my God, did I kill this man? You know, I was terrified, and I went and, of course, did his vital signs, checking on him, and his vital signs were stable, and I actually woke him up doing his vital signs, and asked him how he was doing. He said he was fine. He actually said he slept great. Said best he'd slept in a long time. He was known for always asking a lot for pain meds because he was always in pain, which I was kind of shocked that he, you know, one, was alive, but I was profoundly happy that his vital signs were good, and that he was okay. So acting like nothing was wrong, I said, okay, charted his vital signs and let him go back to sleep, and he immediately went back to sleep. And of course, you know, I was like holding my breath the entire time. So I went back out to the desk, and here I'm still absolutely terrified because I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And of course, you know, a less honest nurse, you know, could have probably figured out a way to cook the books or whatever, because the patient was okay, it seemed. I mean, he was arousable, his vitals were okay, he seemed to be okay. But I was just, I mean, I was still afraid. And it was probably about between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that the DON was going to be coming in soon. And I was absolutely terrified. But I knew I had to tell her what had happened. The RN on duty, who was my direct supervisor, I did not trust at all. So, thankfully, the DON came in early, and I went directly to her, and I told her, and I mean, I was never so terrified in my life, and I told her what had happened, and the first, you know, that I had accidentally double dosed this patient on Ultram, and the first thing she did was ask me, is the patient okay? And I told her, yes, vital signs are stable. He's arousable, you know, when you go to wake him up. He said he was fine, he felt okay. And she said, okay, now go call the doctor and tell him what you did. I felt like about 2 cents. She was a retired Army nurse. Well, she retired from the Army, I should say. She was still a nurse, but she was no nonsense. But she said, yep, you go call the doctor and you tell him exactly what you did. And I said, okay. And I think that was the longest walk to the telephone I have ever made. And I was just still, you know, terrified that something might happen to the patient, you know, long-term effects of having so much Ultram. And so I dialed the doctor's phone number, praying that he would not pick up, but he was a very good doctor and always answered his phone. And I identified myself and told him the situation and what had happened. And first thing he does is, okay, how's the patient? Patient's vital signs are stable. He's alert, and, you know, he's arousable, and honestly, he said he slept very well, and he's not having any pain, and he said he slept great, and that's, he goes, oh, okay, well, it might be time to increase his pain medication. What? Here I was expecting to get chewed out and have my license taken away from me and being, you know, whatever, you know, getting fired from my job and whatnot. It turned out okay. But the feeling that I felt in the moments when I realized what I had done, the terror that I felt that I could have hurt somebody, that he might suffer long-term consequences, that I may have killed him, that I had not done the right thing by double-checking right patient, right route, right dosage, right, that I was basically, you know, negligent. And how I felt, like I said, I felt like 2 cents when I had to tell the director of nursing what I did, how ashamed of myself I was, how And when I had to tell the doctor what I did, the absolute utter humiliation, and like I said, what the way my stomach just dropped to the floor when I realized what I did to him, to that patient. Those feelings, I can still feel them to this day. And, you know, a lot of people make fun of me when I will pull out my critical care drip book, you know, when I'm, you know, titrating Levophed, when I'm titrating, you know, any of the high-risk drugs, when I'm, you know, giving like TPA and things like that, when I double check dosages. And, you know, obviously when you're doing a code, you're doing an amp of epi, or, you know, an amp of bicarb. That's one thing. But when you are doing, you know, things like esmolol or whatever, I double check those, you know, drugs, and there's a reason why. And people make fun of me for being so cautious about that, and there's a reason why. Is because that feeling, I've never forgotten it, and I don't ever want to forget that. And I try, whenever I've precepted nurses, I try to get that, you know, and try to, you know, make them, you know, make sure you're double checking, make sure you're triple checking, you know. You don't want to be that nurse that makes a med error, because if you can learn from my mistake, please do, because, oh, God, you don't want to feel that way, because it sucks. It really sucks. And so, yeah, that's my story time. So when people watch my video and see how you know, like, vehement I am about checking your dosage, you know, with critical care medicines, you know, the double checking the medicines, and even when you're double checking blood, you know, double check. There's never so little time, but there's a reason why, and I learned the hard way, and man, it turned out okay, but thankfully, but I still will never forget that feeling in my stomach, and I don't ever want to feel that way again, and I don't want you guys to ever have that feeling. And if you can learn from my mistake, oh boy. So, yeah, that's my story time of my very first and hopefully very last med error, because that was, I cried driving home that day. And I mean, we all make mistakes, and if you make a mistake and you learn from it, that's a good mistake. I mean, but and I learned that day, and boy, did I learn the hard way. And thankfully, the patient didn't suffer, you know, badly. You know, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, and thankfully it wasn't. But you know, so that's me bearing my soul about my med error. And you know, you can leave your comments below, share your story if you want to, or if you don't. Anyway, if you like the story, thumbs up. Leave your comments if you want to. You can subscribe if you'd like. If you want to hear more stories of things I've done stupid, because, you know, we all do them. But anyway, thanks for listening. Like I said, this has been just a little story time of a time I done fucked up at work. So anyway, I will talk to you later. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.